Hi, this video is for the final session of digital escape rooms for all content areas. So anyway, the last session that we had started to create a Google site. And so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up now. You can access any previously created sites by going to sites.google.com/new. Okay, so here at this point, we have our Google site that has our bolded text. Now, during the last session, one of the things that we did was we created a Google form and we had titled it Digital Escape Room Locks. So here's the form that we made last time. What we're going to do is we're going to insert that form into our Google site. So you would simply go into Insert from Drive. And then from here, I'm just going to go ahead and search for it. So it's called Digital Escape Room Locks. Okay, and so here it is. So you can go ahead and click on it and then insert. Now, what you can also do is add in your digital breakout scene. So here's our digital breakout scene that we've been working on over the course of the last few videos. We have a bunch of secret links to different clues. And so anyway, what you're going to do here is in your Google site, you can also insert from Drive. And then I'm just going to search for, it's called Digital Breakout Scene. Okay, and then insert. So you do have the option to be able to move stuff around. So you'll see that there's this little icon with these dots. Anyway, you would click and drag that to be able to move something to a different location. So depending on how you want to do the layout. Anyway, that being said, what you might choose, and again, this is totally dependent on kind of on how you want to set up your escape room. I'm actually just going to delete these for now, just because I want to put them alongside of one another. So sometimes layouts can come in handy for that, instead of simply inserting it one on top of the other. And then from there, what you would do is you'd simply click on a layout. So for example, I can go ahead and select from Drive here, and then get my digital escape room lock here. And then on the other side, add from Drive my digital breakout scene. And you can do it that way, and then you do have the ability, again, to delete any extra text boxes that you might not want to use, but you can use them again if you do need them. I'm just going to delete them for the purposes of this right here. Okay, so anyway, that being said, you'll notice that it does come up with the slide 1 indicator. So if you did happen to have clues on multiple slides, students would be able to toggle through to view the different slides. Another thing that you might find helpful is to resize your escape room locks. You'll see it's kind of cut off, but you can resize it to show the form in its entirety. You simply click and drag to change the dimensions. And so then from here, what we're going to do is we're also going to talk about some different ways to incorporate movement and meet different needs of students. So right now I'm just going to also show you can publish your site. And so then at this point, what you would do is you would give your students the published site link by clicking here, and you would copy that link. So anyway, so here's our finished escape room. And there's the URL. Here's where students would be able to click. You'll notice that the little hand appears when it's on a secret link. We can go ahead and click that. It would make a copy. And then, of course, we've got our different locks. And if we type in the incorrect answer, what should happen is it should tell you keep trying, and it will only let you submit unless you have the correct answers. Anyway, so some other ways to be able to meet student needs. Rather than hiding all of the clues in a Google slide, you can hide them throughout the room, so that way you encourage some movement. So right now I'm just going to demonstrate one way that we can encourage some movement within the classroom for the escape room. So let's just say, for example, we have this puzzle. Instead of having the link in the Google slide, which we can still keep, we could also perhaps include this as a QR code that we hide somewhere around the room. So I'm just going to demonstrate how to do that right now. So we've got this link to the Jigsaw Planet puzzle. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this URL. And then from here, if you search QR code generator, I happen to have used this one here, the qrcodegenerator.com. You would simply put in the URL. And so we're just going to paste. And then from here, it comes up with a QR code. And you could print this. So let's just say, for example, if I wanted to copy it, I could simply copy the image. I could print it onto a new Google Doc. Whoops. So anyway, for example, we'll just do a new Google Doc. And then from here, you can paste the QR code and resize it if you need it, and then print it. And then you could hide it somewhere in the classroom. So anyway, that being said, what you would be able to do is students could use a QR code generator. And what that would do, or I'm sorry, a QR code reader rather. So let's just say, for example, you hide this QR code somewhere around the room. What the students could do is scan it. So I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. So it'll just take a moment. But anyway. All right. So anyway, that being said, another way that you can kind of encourage some movement within the classroom, within the digital escape room, is by including some clues that you have around the classroom. So just going to go ahead into Google Drive and go into recent. All right. Anyway, here is the video of scanning the QR code. It's just unfortunately taking a moment to load. All right, so what we see right here is demonstrating the QR code reader. And this is coming up on a phone. And so students would scan that QR code. And then what happens is it appears with the Jigsaw Planet puzzle. And the particular QR code reader that I used is simply the first one that comes up in the Apple store. So it's called QR code reader, although there are a couple of them, but it's just the first one, QR code reader. Anyway, so that being said, another way that we can encourage movement is, like I said, hiding clues around the room. So you could hide the QR code around the room. Another thing you can do is have answers on posters. So for example, using our color lock, you could have one of the answers for the color lock be on a poster in the classroom. So this right here is an example of a poster that I used for my digital literacy escape rooms. So I haven't shared that one with you yet, but you'll notice that there are a couple of different ways that we can incorporate different escape room clues. First of all, you'll notice that we have different colors for each of the different responses. So that could be one way that you could have a color lock, and you could perhaps direct students through a clue to go to this poster to be able to figure it out. Another thing you could do is for any of the responses, whether it be a word lock or one of the actual clues, you could have an answer be present on a poster in the classroom. You could even hide a little QR code. For example, I kind of have like this little snap code, but you could put some sort of a scannable code, like a QR code, on a poster that you could have around the room for students to be able to find. You could have a clue under a chair. You could have a clue pretty much anywhere within the room. So definitely encouraging movement, using the QR codes, using some of the materials around your room like posters to be able to encourage movement among the students is always a good thing. Anyway, so then the last thing that I'm going to do is just show some different ways to meet student needs when you're giving the escape room assignment. So one thing that students could potentially struggle with, especially I see with middle school students, is a lot of the content areas are very heavy in vocabulary. So, if somebody has, for example, something like what we see here, it's all about ancient Greece, and we've got these different terms that students might not understand, might not be able to pronounce. One thing you can do is you could have students use some of the Google Chrome add-ons. For example, I have one that's called Speakit that I have installed. So I'm just going to demonstrate how that works right now. You would simply click and drag to select text, two finger or right click on it, and you should be able to use the Speakit extension, but it might have been disabled. So let's just, actually, I can demonstrate how to find it. So here's Speakit extension. It should come up as the first link. And so, yep, it was disabled. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on enable this item. But anyway, you'll be able to install it right from this first link. I might just need to reload the page. Okay, and then from here, you can simply click and drag to select and speak.
You are at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. You and your group members are touring the prehistoric collection, which contains...
All right, I'm just going to mute that for now. So it's slightly robotic, but it is one way that you would be able to meet the needs of your various learners. Another thing that you can do is, of course, you can create different versions of your escape room. So that being said, let's just go back to the main Google Sites page. So sites.google.com/new. And you can very easily, kind of create some new copies of the links that you have in there. So that being said, sorry, it's just going to take a moment to load so I can get to the editable version. But anyway, so you can always create different, kind of a different escape room for different students, and you can share them in Google Classroom. So just in case people aren't familiar with how to share different assignments for students in Google Classroom, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and open up Google Classroom. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate right now with this 8th grade class. And so when you give an assignment or an announcement, you can choose which classes they go to. You can also choose specific students. So let's just say, for example, I wanted these 3 students at the top to receive a different link to a different escape room. I could do this and uncheck them. Then I would give this particular group of students the link to my escape room that's right here that I've been working on for a little while. And then I could potentially share a different version of my escape room with the remaining 3 students. So that's another way that you can meet student needs. But anyway, so that being said, doing things like encouraging movement, being able to meet the needs of students who might thrive on movement breaks, or might get bored with simply sitting stationary, working on a digital escape room. If we do need to do a modified version, that could be shared in Google Classroom with those students. And then again, if there are students with, either reading difficulties or language difficulties, they can use something like the Speakit extension. Um, Another extension that's helpful, I'm just going to demonstrate as well, is the Read and Write Chrome extension. This is something, if you have English language learners, there is an option to be able to translate text. So that's something that could be used with students too. There's, let's see, so where's the translate? So right here's the translator. Um, but anyway, it just does one word at a time, but that could be something also that could help students. So let's just say, for example, I click and drag to select the word open, and it comes up with all of this information. It comes up with Spanish as the default, but you can go into your options and then check on languages, and let's see, I think, yep. But yeah, there's different features. So we've got the translators on, um, and you can choose from these 4 languages. So that being said, it's not necessarily a complete translator. I would say that you could use Google Translator to be able to translate entire paragraphs, but this is something else that, again, could be helpful for meeting students' needs. Additionally, it comes up with a dictionary as well. So if you have students that might struggle with, with language, they could use the translator within the Read and Write extension. And just to show you again really quickly, it's called Read and Write, all one word. If you search Read and Write for Google Chrome, it's going to be the first link that pops up, and you would be able to download it into your Google Chrome browser. So I hope that this has helped you up to this point. And if you have any questions, we will be having a couple more Hangouts, especially as it comes closer for the due date for the people that are taking this class for credit. And I hope you have a wonderful week.